Before we start, we'll do a shabad, a job, and then we'll take it from there. If you guys know the shabad, that's great, you can sing along. If you don't, that's alright, you could just listen, okay? WhyGuru Sahib Ji. Hum yav gun pare ek gun nahi, Amrit chhad bikha bikh khahi, Maya moh param papule, Sutdara syon preet lagai, Eki uttam panth sunyo gur sangat, Tehe milant jam tras mitai, Eki ardas paat ki rat ki, Gur Ramdas rakho sarnai. Ek ardas paat ki rat ki, Gur Ramdas rakho sarnai. WhyGuru Ji ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji ki Fateh. Okay. So when we think about mental health, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? And let's put a disclaimer. There's a difference between mental illnesses and mental health, okay? Mental illnesses will be your different type of mental disorders that someone might have. What we're focusing on is specifically mental health, okay? And through the Sikh lens, yeah? What Gurbani would say about mental health. So, just got our brains working, right? We're gonna work through this together. When you think of mental health, what do you think about? Hanji?
How to deal with stress or
Okay, navigating stress? Navigating stress. Okay, very good. Anything else come to your mind? Hanji? Santok, okay. And what do we mean by santok, Virji? Contentment. All right. Anything else? Any type of self-care? Yeah? Think about mental health, we think about self-care, right? Because all these different things, they will kind of go into our branch of self-care. Right? Have you heard of something called self-love? Yeah? You know, on social media especially, there'll be like self-love, grab a Coke, go to the beach, chill out, right? And that'll be like their version of self-love. Okay. Now, this idea of self-care and self-love, santok, navigating stress, if I were to place that into one word, the word that comes to my mind is jyot. Okay, this is Gurmukhi for the English word. We'll define the word jyot, okay? Let's put that in a little bubble over here, a little circle, okay? Jyot. Can anyone help me define what jyot means? Don't be shy, Hanji. Light, very good. Okay. Anything else?
usually think of like
Spirit or soul. Okay. You can shout it out. You don't have to raise your hand. How about energy? Could energy work? Okay. Think outside the box a bit. Energy. Okay. What else? Hanji?
Eternal.
Sorry?
Eternal.
Eternal. Very good. There's no wrong answer, guys. I just need to hear your thoughts. I just need to hear what you're thinking. And with that, I'll be able to work with you guys to understand the concept of mental health through Sikhi, okay? What else? What else comes to your mind?
I think of divine.
Divine, okay. All right, very good. Divine. Any last one before we move on? No? Okay. How much of Gurbani would you say focuses on these type of things that we talked about? Okay. So generally we talked about stress, we talked about navigating stress, we talked about contentment, we talked about santokh, and we kind of branched that into self-care. We talked about self-love. And from there, I kind of pulled out this concept of Jyot, right? And from Jyot, we came up with these different things. Now I want to understand, what do you think Gurbani, how much of Gurbani speaks about this thing, this Jyot? A shabad comes to my mind where Maharaj says, Mamma man seo kaj hai, man sadhe siddh hoye, which means that our work in this world, our job in this world, is to work with our mind, our inner self. Yeah, what we call Jyot, we can also call mind. Okay. This mind that we carry, this light that we carry, this soul that we carry, our whole job in this world is to work with it, is to reform it. Yeah. What do you mean by reform? What's wrong with our mind? What happens in our mind? Is it a nice, cool place? Is it always, hey, loving and caring, grateful? Is it always in this type of world? Or is it doing something else? What's in the mind?
It's involved with five thieves.
Is involved with the five thieves, all right. Tell me more. What happens with the five thieves? Who are the five thieves? Okay.
They attack you at every moment.
All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw this imaginary bubble, okay, around the Jyot. It's imaginary bubble, okay. This imaginary bubble, you guys remember in math class, they'll be like imaginary numbers, right? They don't really exist, but they're there for a purpose, okay. This imaginary bubble, okay, we're going to give it a name. The name is going to be Home Man. Okay, the name is Home Man. Okay, our mind goes through this filter of Home Man. Okay, this imaginary bubble. Yeah, and what comes out of that bubble isn't always necessarily kind, loving things. Okay, it's always not always, but sometimes it's very aggressive. It's jealousy. It's regret. It's trauma. It's baggage. All those different things are coming from this imaginary bubble, home. Yeah? What's deep inside that home bubble is this Jyot, is this shining light, yeah, that we've kind of have forgotten about. Yeah? So the word forgotten is used in Gurbani. And the opposite of the word forgotten is remembrance. The word remembrance is used in Gurbani. When Maharaj says, remember who you are. Yeah? Man tu jyot saroop hai, apna mool pachan. Pachan means recognize. Gurbani will often talk about recognizing our light inside, recognizing who we are. Yeah? And on that path of realization, on the path of recognizing ourselves, Guru Sahib also says, Man harji tere naal hai, gurmati rangman. That Paramatma is with you, Guru Sahib is with you. We often think that we are alone on this endeavor, but we forget that Guru Sahib ji sade naal hai kiya. Okay, now let's go through an example, all right, of how our home and our Jyot, how these two things interact and how they affect and how we perceive the world around us, okay? We were going to go to an event, okay, just follow along here. We're going to go to an event. Right? The event is something that we've been looking forward to for a long time, okay? We picked up our clothes, we're wearing the right dress, the right suit. For my brothers, we're wearing our kurta, pajama, or suit, whatever we're wearing, right? Nice pug. And we're gonna go with a friend to this event, right? And what happens? The day of the event comes. We've been expecting to go. We've been so excited for the last few days. And when the day of the event comes, our friend calls in and he says, hey man, I know you've been looking forward to this thing we're going to go to do tonight, but look, something came up and I can't join you anymore. I'm not able to join you anymore and I'm really sorry, but hey, I gotta go now. I'm really busy, but I hope you don't mind, right? He cuts the phone, you get out the phone, and now how do you feel? Tell me, how would you feel? Disappointed, very good. What else do you feel? Let me write these things down, okay? So we'll feel disappointed. Okay, what else? Angry, okay. Next? Sad. Okay. ਹੋਰ? Upset. Like, changa mera dost nikalya tum. Huh? I was waiting a month for this trip. I was waiting a month for this event. I got everything ready. I was so excited. And they came and you just canceled on me? Huh? What happened here? Happened here was we were expecting a certain type of outcome, but the reverse happened. Okay? So these feelings, they stem from something called non-acceptance. Okay? Non-acceptance. And I'm linking non-acceptance to the bubble of home. Okay? I'm linking non-acceptance to the bubble of home. Okay? Now, non-acceptance means that something was going to happen, it didn't happen that way, and now I can't get over the fact that it didn't happen that way. Right? I'm not able to come to terms. Instead, I'm feeling all these different type of emotions. Okay? Now, the idea of the jyot, the idea of the light, finding yourself, finding that, that self-care or giving self-love is more deeper, at least in my understanding of Gurmat traditions, is more deeper than grabbing a Coke and pulling up to the local beach and having a nice time. I hear in Seattle there is not much sunshine, so I'm sorry you guys don't really have that. But it's more deeper than that. Guru Nanak Dev Ji's philosophy, of working with your mind, working with yourself, reforming your mind, finding yourself, right, is what I feel Gurbani speaks about in every single ang. In its total, I feel like Gurbani speaks about this one thing, and that is your mind, that is your soul, that is your heart, that is your light, that is all these different things that we talked about, the jyot. Okay? So what does Gurbani say about this situation? If we're presented with such a situation where we can't get over the fact, what does Gurbani says? Well, the very first question that was asked to Guru Nanak, or the very first question that shows up in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, is a question of justice. Okay? We read in Japji Sahib all the time, Kiv satyara hoiye, kiv kuda tutta pal. You guys heard that before? Yeah? Okay. It comes from a Bani called Japji Sahib, right? Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Bani. Now in there, someone is asking Guru Nanak Dev Ji, how satyara hoiye, how can I become truthful? Okay, another translation to the word jyot is truth. Okay, another translation to the word jyot is truth. How can I become truthful? Kiv satyara hoye. You ever heard like people say, "Ke it's all about the heart." Dil saaf rakho. That's it, right? Like you ever heard that before? Hor kuch karan di lord nahi ki dil saaf rakho. ठीक है. That philosophy that they're touching upon is actually, that's true. कि दिल सानू साफ रखना चाहिए. But the path of getting your dil saaf is not easy. है ना? The people that are asking Guru Nanak Dev Ji this are the people that have been trying to get their heart clean for years, for a long time of years. They've been doing their devotion, they've been doing their bhakti, they've been doing their spirituality, and they come to this realization that inside they carry a lot of this, something called kud. Kud means falsehood. Because they say, after they say kiv sachar hoye, they say kiv kuda tutta pal. How can this falsehood How can this wall of falsehood that we have around us, this bubble, this imaginary bubble of home, how can this break? Yeah? How can this break? Again, the word home, you probably heard this before. Home means I. Ma also means I or me. Yeah? The idea of home is our self-identity, something that we wake up when we go to sleep with, something that's always there. It never leaves our side. It's even when we're doing our spirituality, it's there. Even when we're doing our part, it's there. Even when we're doing our Kirtan, it's there. Even when we're whatever we're doing in life, it's always got to be there. It's always there. It's hiding in the corners, hiding in the darkness, just waiting to attack us. And the Jyot is always there as well. But the realization of Jyot is what we have to work towards. Okay? So when they asked, these people asked, give satyara hoiye, give kura tutte. When they asked, how can we become truthful? How can we get to this Jyot? How can this falsehood that's surrounding us disappear? Guru Nanak Dev Ji responds, and they say, Hukam Rajai Chalana Nanak Likhya Nal. Their answer was to follow the hukam. Follow the hukam. What does that mean? Okay, what is hukam? In the next stanza of that Shabad, Guru Sahib goes into what the hukam is. They say that every single thing is in hukam and no one's outside of this hukam. Yeah, this concept of hukam, every single thing is in hukam and nothing's outside this hukam. And you know what's interesting? The word hukam, this is, by the way, who does not know Gurmukhi, so I can be mindful of that? Everyone knows how to read Gurmukhi? Well, that's really good. Shabash. Okay, the word hukam, I was once watching a YouTube video. It was like a Bible study video. Don't ask me how I got there. I was just watching it. And they were talking about a word called hukmah. They were talking about a Hebrew word called hukmah. The same hukam that Guru Nanak Dev Ji talks about. Yeah? They translated it as the will of God. Yeah? The will of God. Yeah? So this word that Guru Nanak Dev Ji is using, it comes from the Hebrew tradition. How amazing is that? Yeah? That means Guru Sahib's audience at this time might have been from the Abrahamic religions. Anyways, hukam. Everything that happens within hukam. Yeah? So when that situation came up, when my friend picked up the phone and told me, hey, I'm not coming anymore with you, and he cut the phone, and I'm sitting there in non-acceptance. I'm sitting there because I can't accept what happened. Guru Nanak Dev Ji is turning around to say, what has happened in hukam. The way to get out of these feelings, the feelings that are surrounded by falsehood, is to accept the hukam. To change that non-acceptance to acceptance. Okay, but that's easier said than done. How do you accept? That was a simple example I gave you. But what if it gets deeper than that? What if it gets harder than that? What if someone passes away? What if a loved one leaves us? What if someone breaks our heart? What do we do then? Then this situation becomes 10 times, 20 times, 30 times more harder. It's not just an event anymore. It's not something you could just forget, but it's something that clings on to you. What do you do then? Well, this idea of acceptance, this idea of living in the hukam is a practice. It's not going to come just by learning about it. It's something that we will have to practice. How do you practice hukam? Well, that goes back to the mind. That goes back to reforming our mind. When I said, Mamma, man syo kaaj hai, man sadde siddh hoye. That our job is with this mind. If we were to sad this mind, sad by the way, sad means to reform. Man sadde siddh hoye. You get siddh. You get siddh. Siddh means siddhi. Siddhi means perfection. Perfection. If one reforms their mind, if one reboots their mind, if one reprograms their mind, they can get into Siddhi. Okay, so how do we practice Hukam? Well, we can use Gurbani. There's a Shabad by Guru Nanak Dev Ji in Japji Sahib where Maya says, Jo Tod Pavai Sai Pali Kar. Okay, this kar here is not talking about a car. When I was a kid and I heard my mom reading Japji Sahib, I'm like, whoa, what car is this in Gurbani? You know? But I'll explain the Shabad by the way. Okay, Jo means jeda, okay, in Punjabi, that in English. Tod means you. Pavai means pleases. Okay, Sai, that. Pali, okay, we'll translate this word together. Okay, we'll translate that word together. Palikar, thing. Okay, that what pleases you is the most pali thing. Okay, we'll translate the word pali just in a second. Okay, actually we'll need to translate it right now. The word pali is the same word that you hear often, which is pala. Pala. You heard this word before. Where do you hear it before? Where do you hear it? Like every time you go to the Gurdwara. When do you hear it? At the Ardas, right? Why? Because the Ardasiye will say, Nanak Naam, Chardi Kala, Tere Pane, Sarbat Pala. Right? They say that. And then we often translate that to say, oh, as Sikhs, we want the best for the whole world. Right? We want Pala for the whole world. Right? What is Pala? How do you define Pala? Give me some ideas. How would you define the word Pala? Well-being. Okay, what is well-being? Is that the same as good?
Yeah, I think so. Like in my mind, I was thinking of goodness.
Good, okay. But there's a problem with good. There's a problem with good. What could the problem be with good?
Subjective.
It's subjective. There you go. It's subjective. Have you attended my classes before? Okay, because I feel like you're reading like my notes. You just know what I'm saying next. Okay. It's subjective. What is subjective? It's based on perspective. Okay? It's based on perspective. Okay, so what does that mean? It means this. What might be good for me might not necessarily be good for you. What might be good for you might not necessarily be good for me. For example, I'm staying with a friend. He loves to eat Doritos in the morning. Right? He's put Doritos everywhere. He's going to crunch them up and put them on something. And he comes to my paratha, aloo paratha, and he's like, bro, this is so good. Put it on your aloo paratha as well. I'm like, no. This is not good for me. It's going to mess my stomach up. But it's good for him. Right? Why? Because he enjoys it. He finds flavorful. He finds his aloo mixed very well with those Doritos. I, on the other hand, think otherwise. Right? So there's a difference in opinion there. Therefore, there's a different understanding of what is good and what is bad. Yeah? The word good and bad falls underneath the concept of duality. Okay? We'll explore the word duality in a second. Okay? We'll explore it in this presentation. Okay. So well-being. Well-being is separate from that. Why? Because the well-being, or the word pala, has a condition to it. Okay, you guys remember math, right? If you have a formula, let's say, here, I'll give you a number 5, okay? Or let's say a variable, okay? I'm going to give you a variable. That variable is x, okay? The variable is now dependent on time. Whatever's on the bottom, whatever's in the denominator is going to be what the variable is going to be dependent upon. Is that correct? You guys remember that? Okay, basic algebra. All right. So based on the word pala is dependent on WhyGuru. Okay, the word pala is dependent on WhyGuru. Okay, what does that mean? It's dependent on how, because when we say Nanak Naam Chardi Kala Tere Pane Sarbat Da Pala, we're not just saying Sikhs want the pala for the world. There's a condition there. We say Tere Pane. Pane. Okay? We say Tere Pane Sarbat. Sarbat means all. Sarbat da pala. Okay? The condition there is tere pane, your will. Yeah? So the word pala is dependent on WhyGuru ji da pana. Okay? WhyGuru ji da pana is dependent on what? The will of God. Right? The will of WhyGuru ji. That is what pala. The will of WhyGuru ji is not an evil thing. Yeah? Oftentimes when that situation, okay, let's go back to that situation. That situation happened, right? When that happened, apa ki karde hain? We start blaming. Okay? We start blaming. So from non-acceptance, those feelings came about, right? Before those feelings, okay, alongside those feelings, action happens as well. Okay, so these feelings were internal, right? You can manifest these feelings. And how do you manifest these feelings? Through, one way would be through blame, okay? We start to blame. We'll either blame outside or we'll start blaming inwards. How do we blame? Let's look at outside first. How do we blame outside? We start blaming God. कि परमात्मा ਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਲੱਭਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਅੱਜ ਲੱਭਿਆ ਸੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਦੀ ਹੋਣਾ ਸੀ. You know, we say stuff like that. We don't, not necessarily should we say stuff like that, but we find ourselves sometimes saying stuff like that. Now, when that happens, we're not able to understand the pana. We're not able to understand that actually, whatever happens in pana is this, pala. Because jo to the pava, whatever pleases you, the word pava, the whatever pleases you is what's going to happen. So that's your pana. Whatever pleases you is your pana, is going to happen. Sai palika, that pana is pala. That pana, that will of yours is pala. It is the very best thing that can ever happen. Does that make sense? It is the very best thing that can ever happen. Why? Because I can only see that event. I can only see that dinner day or that event I was going to go on, that program I was going to go to, whatever that got cancelled. I can only see that. But you, remember the formula here? You can see so much more. You're not just limited to that one event. You can see way more than that one event. You can see the ripple effect that could have happened if I were to go to that event. Maybe I was not meant to go to that event. Why? Because it was not going to be the best thing for me. So that means every single thing that happens in Maharaj's hukum, every single thing that happens in Maharaj's bana is designed in a way to help you in your life. It's designed, and wisdom is what shows us that. Okay? Wisdom is what we will call gyan. Okay, this word comes up in Gurbani. Okay? Gyan. Are defining it as wisdom, not knowledge. Knowledge is something you can use this word for knowledge as well, but in this scenario I'm using it just for wisdom. Okay? Knowledge is something you can learn from the outside. Wisdom is something that you learn from the inside. Yeah? You learned it from the inside. With wisdom, with gyan, over the years as you grow, you look back to that one event. Yeah? And you were at that moment, maybe you were in distress. Maybe in that moment you were angry, you were disappointed, you were sad, you were upset. But now, looking back after a few years, you're thankful for that moment. You're grateful for that moment. Okay? So this is an exercise that we can practice in our daily lives, this shabad right here. Yeah? Jo to the pava, sai palikar. You know, we find ourselves in a situation where we can't accept what just happened. Close your eyes. Look, take that situation head on. Don't bury it. You know, sometimes what we do in the Punjabi community is we bury things. right? Something happens and we say, "Chal koi na." You ever heard that before? Someone just did something totally wrong to you and you're so hurt by that and you say, "Chal koi na yaar, rehne de." Forget about it. But what happens? You're not really forgetting about it. You're just taking a lazy way out. You're not dealing with your emotions, not dealing with your demons. You're throwing that to the side and you're saying, "You know what? It's fine. I'm going to shove it under the table." But whatever you shove underneath that table is still there. And it's going to start poking at you. It's going to start poking at you. It's going to start growling at you. You know? Maharaj says, "Jo jiya hoye so ugave, mohka keya vao." That whatever is inside your heart will one day come out. That baggage you're holding on to, that trauma that you're holding on to, if it's not dealt with, one day it will come out and it gets you. Yeah? Mohka keya vao. Vao means ear, but let me define that. Okay. That person that said that did that to you, right? They canceled the program to you. I'm going back to that same example. The program got canceled, that person did that to you, right? Next week you meet that person, right? And he's like so like, excited to see you. He doesn't know what you just felt, right? On his plate, everything's all dandy. He comes to see you, he's like, "Oh man, how's it going? Vadiya, oh really sorry about last week by the way. Mera chacha was in town and chacha ne kiya si ke mamme de ghar jana, mamme de ghar gaye, te mammi rus pi, mammi utte, fir aapa ghar aaye, te bahut sama lag gaya, khode mein kithra event." And here you are, you're like, yeah, that's fine. But there is something to your voice that's changed now. Your perception of your friend has changed. You're no longer carrying that same sweetness in your mouth. Instead, you're carrying something called fikkapan. You're carrying this fikkaness, you're carrying this dry feeling on your mouth now. You're not exactly excited to see your friend anymore. Why? Because you shoved that demon into the table. And now you're meeting your friend and the demon's coming back at you. He's not letting you connect with your friend anymore. Whereas if that moment you had done some self-love, and this is self-love by the way, you had done some self-care, if you were going to sit down there and be like, "You know what, Maharaj, there's nothing that's not in your control," right? That event was in your control. That friend of mine was in your control. Going to that event with my friend was in your control. If it didn't happen in your control. And if it didn't happen in your control, that must have been the best thing for me. That must have been something great. Okay, but there's a problem now. There's some situations where you can't be, the word is, you can't be passive. You understand the word passive? Yeah? You can't be passive. You have to be reactive. You have to make an action. What do you do then? Okay? So some places you can't take that approach where you just sit down and you say "Jo tut pavai sai palika, jo tut pavai sai palika." You're not able to do that. Okay? What do you do then? Okay. The idea there is this. First, what happens when you go to school? Okay, before the test pops out, before the midterms come, finals come, right? Your teachers gives you homework, right? The homework is gonna be graded, right? There's some weight to it, but it's not gonna be that much weight as your midterms or your finals. Am I correct? Right? Okay. When it's homework time, it's not like you are life or death. It's just you gotta do it, blah blah blah. But the idea of the homework is, this is the idea of the homework, I know it doesn't always work out like that, but the idea of the homework is to give you the tools and the resources and the practice, so when you come to midterms, when you come to your finals, you are able to pass the test. That's the idea. But some professors, I know, they just throw some homework at us for no reason. There's no point to it. But anyways, this right now, that situation of your friend not going with you, whatever, that was your homework. Okay? That is your homework. When small situations in life come around, that's your homework. That's your time to practice. That's your time to build your inner core. That's your time to work on your mental health. That's your time to develop something called emotional intelligence. Okay? There's a class you can take called emotional intelligence. I've taken that class before. And what they tell you in that class is this. When someone pushes your buttons, the easiest thing to do is to whip out your gun, fake gun by the way, right? Whip out your gun and you shoot back. And by that I mean you either curse them out, or if you're pretty pretty jungy. You take your hand, you warm it up, and you go, right? But that's the easiest thing to do. Yeah, the easiest thing to do is to shoot back. Someone shoots at you, then you shoot back. The hard thing to do is to take those hits. Someone cursed you out. Someone has a problem with what you said. Someone doesn't like your opinion. They challenge you. Take those hits. Ground yourself and find a unbiased answer to give back. That is the hardest thing to do. And that you cannot do that if you don't have practice. You cannot do that. Those moments that you do find yourself in those situations are the training grounds. They are training grounds. They are the arena where we learn. Okay? Every chance that you get to suppress your anger, to suppress your jealousy, to suppress all these different things is a training arena. Okay? In those situations, if we're able to say Jota Tapava, Sai Palikar, Jota Tapava, Sai Palikar, and really, okay, in the very beginning, it will just be book knowledge, okay? It'll take some time for this concept to become embedded into you, where you truly start feeling that, man, whatever happens in life, every single leaf that blows, every single ear movement, everything that happens, Maharaj, is in your control. And if it's in your control, then I'm okay. Why? Because I'm in your sharan. This is another concept. Okay. Before we talk about passive and reactive, I'm going to just talk about this concept of sharan. You guys seen this word before in Gurbani? Yeah? Okay. What does sharan mean? Sharan, we often translate it to English as sanctuary. Okay, but I'm going to explain that. All right? Imagine another friend, okay? Another friend that you love, it's your best friend, okay? For this example, I'm going to put you into a baby mode, okay? Because when you're a little bit younger, you have less problems in life, right? So as your 12-year-old self, okay, imagine going to your best friend's house, okay? You show up at your best friend's house, you sit on their sofa, and you're relaxed, you're chilling, you have no problems. We're not worrying about how the house is going to function, how the bills are going to pay, how the lights going to stay on. You don't care. You're just going to chill. Why? Because it's your best friend's house. And you're so comfortable there. Sometimes you go up to the kitchen, you see his mom, you say, "Hi, Auntie Ji." You move her to the side and you go look at the pantry, you get your food, you get your snacks, you get your little Dorito bag, you get your nice Kool-Aid, whatever you want, right? I don't know what kids eat nowadays, but that's what I used to have, right, when I was a kid. And you grab those things and you sit back on the sofa, you put on a nice movie or a game, you're chilling. You have no problems in life. Why? Because you came to your best friend's house. But more importantly, what is that mindset? There's nothing, that house itself is like a normal house. Okay? That person you're sitting next to is a normal person, right? His mom is a normal auntie. Everything is normal. There's a bunch of other aunties in the world, there's a bunch of other houses in the world. What's special about what's happening there? Sharan. This mindset, this feeling inside that gives you comfort. Yeah? Like today, if I were to come to this room, and honestly I do mean this, that you are my brothers, you are my sisters, right? Everything here that is said here I will respect you, I won't judge you. I truly mean that. If I give you that dalasa, if I give you that parosa, if I give you that confidence, you will feel a certain way. The building is the same building as another college down the street, right? The teacher might be another teacher there too. But it is the hearts that are connecting that is different. It is the minds that are connected that is different. Okay? So the idea of sharan is that connection. Is that falling at your Guru's feet and saying, "Maharaj, I'm in your protection. Then what do I have to fear? If my big boss is Guru Gobind Singh Ji, if my protector is Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who do I have to fear?" Someone comes up to you and say, "Hey, you're not good sick. Why? Because you didn't cover your head. Oh, you didn't do your part this morning. You didn't do this or that." Like, bro, who are you telling me who I am? My heart is subjective, right? It's not, you don't know what my heart is, right? You don't know what the Guru thinks about me. That's my relationship with the Guru, yeah? That's a personal relationship. No one from the outside can judge that, okay? All right, this idea of sharan is the missing piece in the formula. When we say Jodat Pave, Sai Palikar, this feeling needs to be there. It needs to grow as well. It's a feeling that has to grow throughout life. And each situation of life is meant to be a stepping stone for you to use to grow that feeling of Sharan. Okay? There's a Shabad I want to show you. The idea behind that Shabad was this. Maharaj said that we do our prayers, we do our meditation, we do our bandagi, right? This is a question that many people have. I do my part, okay? I do my bhakti, I do my simran, I do all these different things. But still, those 5 things, those that my brother talked about in the beginning, they don't leave my side, okay? Another Shabad comes to my mind. Paat padeo ar bed bichareo, nigam pe angam sadde, panchinasyo sangna chudkyo, adik ahang buddha badde, right? Maharaj says that we do our part, we do all our religious services, we do everything, but still, these 5 demons of Kam, of Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Hankar, jealousy, anger, greed, attachment, pride, all these different things, lust, is still there. Why? Why is it still there? Because of this. Because of this imaginary bubble that we talked about before. This bubble of homme, yeah? This bubble of falsehood, it still sits there. And that's why that first question was asked. The first question in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, where I talked about Kev Sityara Hoiye, Kev Kuda Tutte Pal. That's why that question was asked in the first place. What? How do we get away from this? Every single thing we do is connected to it. Even if we do part, there's a thing inside that says, Main aaj bahut part kita. If we woke up at Amrit Vela one day out of the whole month, we're going to get up and be like, oh, I woke up today, I want to tell the whole world about it. There should be like an Instagram story on me. We should make a TikTok on it that I woke up today. You know, like you want to announce it to the world. Why? Because that bubble of home. You do 2 hours of simran for your first time in your life, and you're like, yo man, I think I became a saint. Like there's no one like me in this world. No one can challenge my beauty and spirituality, right? Why? Because that bubble of home is still there. It's a silent killer. It's sitting right there. And what Maharaj says that when we do these things out of home, all that, let's call it WhyGuru money, that call it spiritual money, everything that we accumulate is silently start stealing it all away from us. Why? Because we didn't do it in the concept of Sharan. If we did it in Sharan, again, that's a feeling that we have to develop. That isn't something that, it is God gifted, but it isn't something that you can just, pick up a book and be like, okay, I know what Sharan is. It is intimate connection. Just like that friendship that you made with your best friend, you're able to sit next to your best friend and you're able to boss him around or her around, do whatever you want. It was a concept, it was a connection that was formed over time. Right? It wasn't something that you just sat down and it happened. Right? So the idea of Sharan is to develop this type of relationship with the Guru. Okay, now we were talking about before, if the situation arises, okay, where you just can't sit down, close your eyes, and you say Chodat Pav Sai Padikar anymore. You can't do it. It requires your input. It requires your decision. Then what happens there? What happens there is this. When we walk through Sharan and we practice that concept that I talked about, Pana and Pala, we talked about those 2 pabbe, right? Pana meaning your will, Pala meaning it is Pala for me, right? We're talking about those two things. When we go through pabbe times 2, okay? We go through this pabbe times 2 and Sharan, what we come out with is something called Gurmat, okay? Gurmat. Or you can also call, a better word for this example would be Vivek, Vivek Buddhi. Okay, I'm going to translate this word for you. The word Buddhi means intellect. Okay, all good? Bib-ek. Bibek means from 2 to 1. Remember I talked about good and bad? And I said good and bad is a concept of duality. You guys remember that? Yeah? I said good and bad. Why Pala is different and good and bad? Because good and bad is a concept of duality. Yeah? And duality is 2. Duality is 2. Pala is 1. is singular. Okay? What do I mean by that? I mean this. The idea of pala, that framework of pala, relies on a concept of oneness. Oneness. How does Gurbani start? It starts with a number, right? Right? What is that number? 1. What does that 1 mean? And we put it on top of we put it on top of our outside our Gurdwara everywhere across the world. God is one. Right? We just say God is one. And that idea of God is one, what does it mean? Well, most of the times people are trying to get away from the Indian narrative of what God is, right? Of the idea that there's many gods, or there's many devte, or there's many of these type of demigods, and our community has been so scarred, maybe through different events in our history, from that type of culture, that we are all about, we're different than those guys. We believe in one God. But the idea of Ik, which is the start of Ek Oankar, is the start of all Gurbani, I believe is much deeper than that. Yeah? I believe is much deeper than that. The idea of Ik is this. I'll wait for your attention. Okay, say WhyGuru. WhyGuru. Okay, the idea of Ik is this. Not that God is just one, but we all are one. We all are one. Yeah? That you and me are no different. We are carrying the same jot. That jot that we talked about earlier, that jot is one. It's not two. That bubble of home, makes us think that we are two. Get it? That's why I said it's imaginary. It creates an illusion. It creates an imaginary understanding that who we are. It says that me and you are different. And because we are different, I can hurt you. That's what it tells me. But the concept of Ik tells me otherwise. If you and me are one, that means if I were to hurt you, remember I told you about pulling out that gun and shooting? Right? Well, I said the opposite of emotional intelligence, right? Will be being emotionally unintelligent, will be to shoot back. When I shoot my gun, and you say, yo man, screw you, and I shoot my gun, and I'm like, math no dasna. When I shoot that back, who am I hurting? If we are one, who am I hurting? Myself. I'm not hurting you, I'm actually hurting myself. Yeah? And how am I hurting myself? How will I be able to see that? I'll see it in the way my mind works. When another situation arises, someone pushes my buttons again, I'll feel more angry. I'll feel more enraged. I'll hold on to more baggage. I'm just collecting more and more and more. The time comes when that more and more explodes, and I find myself in depression. I find myself in anxiety. I find myself with intrusive thoughts. I find myself in these dark places. Why am I coming to those dark places? Because I left the light. That jot that we talked about earlier is your light, right? We defined it as light as well. We left that light and pursued a place of darkness. And those darkness was something we built over time. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to get at is the way we are today, okay, is a result of our own actions that we have done. The way we are tomorrow is in our hands. The way we are tomorrow, and I know that conflicts with the idea that I said before that everything is in God's hand. But look, you're in this lecture today, you're getting understanding today, that's in God's hands. You making that active steps, your homework that I talked about, of reforming your mind, reprogramming your mind, is in your hands as well. Does that make sense? Yeah? If we are all one, that means every single thing I do to you, I'm doing to myself. So if I were to spread positive energy, if I were to spread love towards you, that is self-love as well. If someone told me, bro, tera aa ho jaye, and we respond by saying, tera pala ho jaye. Imagine that. If someone says to you, man, I hate you, may this happen to you. And you either say it verbally or you say in your mind, because it's all about your intent, right? You say, you know what, tera pala ho jaye. Man, I wish the very well for you. If you respond with that energy, you're not only growing your emotional intelligence, you're not only growing that, but on top of that, you're carrying yourself with such positive energy that will help you later on. The more you keep building that protection, because that's what you're doing, the more you build that aura around you, the more you build that idea of pala and pana, you use these two things to your benefit, the more when that day comes of your actual test, your midterm comes along, your final comes along, you'll be able to pass it much, much easier than you would have otherwise. Yeah? Okay. Now let's go back to that example of being passive or reactive. I was talking about something called Vivek Buddhi. Okay? And I talked about going from 2 to 1. This word Vivek. Yeah? The word here, Vivek, some people break it up like this. Okay? Bib, and then that la up there. If when you watch Maharani or you learn Maharani, you look at the Maharani chart, every single syllable has a letter counterpart. Okay? What I mean by that is this. If you have a kanna, in the chart it will be represented as add a kanna. Because the noise of a kanna is this, visually represented as this. Okay? In the same way, a sihari is visually represented as this. A. Okay, kanna is represented as a, sihari is represented as a, la, this syllable here is called la, this is represented as this, a. Okay, so the word babek, I'm breaking it up to check it out. I took the bib, I put it over here, right? And now I'm going to take the la and use its visual representation, which is a, ed la, and I put down the kaka, carry the kaka to that side. You have ek, bib, ek. Bib means 2, ek means 1. Okay? Going from 2 to 1. Buddhi means intellect. That intellect, and what is intellect, by the way? Intellect is your decision-making process. Okay? What do I mean by that? I mean this. Okay? I have my pen here, simple example. Yeah? I want to pick it up. Okay? I have a thought that I want to pick that pen up. Yeah? My intellect is what's going to say yes or no. Based on what it knows, based on what it perceives and understands, it's going to be like, yeah, that's a good decision. Let's pick it up. And I go ahead and pick it up. Does that make sense? So intellect is your decision-making factor before you express that decision. Yeah. Before you make that final expression of your decision, your mental decision, your buddhi is that wall that will either say yes or no. And hence you will go and act it out. Okay? So bibek, we said those feelings that we're feeling earlier of being upset, of being sad, of being confused, all these different things are coming from 2. Why? Because I'm saying that you are different than me. You hurt me. You hear the words you and me there? Right? You did this to me. Yeah? He did this to me. She did this to me. Get it? You see the 2 there? 1 is the idea of pala. When we keep sharing the word pala, we're not focusing on you and me anymore. We're focusing on oneness. Why? Because we come above a stage of you and me. We're no longer in this world of you and me. We're no longer there. We're in a different world now. And that world, all it wants is the well-being for every single thing because it is all connected. Okay? That intellect that is in that oneness, once we reach there, once we have that internally personified, when a situation comes up and you have to make a decision, you'll go into your Vivek Buddhi and pull out 2 answers. Either you'll say, okay, my decision is going to be active. I'm going to stand up physically or verbally or whatever that I need to do here. Or my decision here will be passive. I'll take a passive route because that is what's coming from my Vivek Buddhi. And this process of receiving your Vivek Buddhi, obviously I'm not there, so I'm not going to say that I'm there. But what I do is when I hear my gut response, and I feel like it's coming from a place of Vivek Buddhi, to make sure it is, I go ahead and take a hukanama. I go do ardas, ask Maharaj, hey Maharaj, what I'm feeling here, this gut feeling, is it truly Vivek Buddhi? Is it truly coming out of a place that is beneficial? It is truly coming out of a place that is filled with compassion? Or is it just my ego again? Or is it just my home again? I ask Maharaj. And the hukanama will tell me either yes, I'm on the right direction, or no, rethink it. Rework yourself again. Yeah? In this way, Sikhi is more practical than you think. Yeah? Oftentimes people say, yo, Sikhis, you know, they make Sikhi feel like it's just a part of your life that stays on Sundays, that stays at the Gurdwara. You know, it's not meant to be something that you carry around with you every single day. It's not something that you carry around with you every single moment that you breathe and you live. Yeah, that's how Sikhi is presented sometimes. It's presented just as a religious service. But Sikhi is way more practical than that. You know, it's way more practical. It's way more logistical than that. It is something that teaches us the truth of life, that the whole world is already trying to do. The whole world is trying to figure out the truth of life. And don't think someone already has it. If someone has that truth, then, you know, it's only Guru, I believe it's only Guru Nanak Dev Ji, right? Or those people like Guru Nanak Dev Ji, those saints, those Mahapurukhs, yeah? The idea here is that every single being, every single organization is trying to figure out the truth of life, okay? No Kim Kardashian, no, I don't know, great scientist, no great Parcharik, I don't know, I'm just throwing out different things out there. It's not necessarily true that they have the truth of life. Just because the grass on that side looks greener doesn't mean like it truly is greener. Yeah? The truth of life is sitting right in front of us. It's sitting in our phones. It's sitting in the Gurdwara. Yeah? Guru Granth Sahib Ji is the truth of life. Yeah? For us Sikhs. Yeah? And that truth of life is telling us every single day how to go about your life. One more shabad that comes to my mind, which kind of holds this whole thing that we talked about today, is par ka bura na rakho cheet, tumko dukh nahi pai meet. Okay, what does that mean? Par ka bura. Okay, na rakho cheet. Okay, par. What does par mean? Other. Okay, someone else. Yeah, we say par istri, someone else's wife. Par tan, someone else's money, right? Par kar, someone else's house. You ever heard that before? Yeah, somewhat. Okay, par means someone else's, other. Par ka in Punjabi that'll be da. ठीक है? Bura. What does bura mean? Hate. Hanji? You got it. Go for it. Don't shy out. What is it? Hate. Okay, hate, evil. Anything else? Yeah, like bad things, right? Okay. Par ka bura na rakho cheet. Cheet means your mind. Yeah? Don't harvest evil thoughts for someone else in your mind. What will happen? Guru Sahib says, Tum ko dukh nahi. You will never have pains in your life. Pai meet. Oh my brother, oh my sister, oh my son. Guru Sahib says, oh my friend, you'll never have any pains in your life if you don't spend your time shooting out bad energy to someone else. And that is something we do all the time. Listen to your mind. When you're scrolling on Instagram, you're scrolling through social media, listen to what your mind does. When you see someone you don't necessarily connect with, does your mind spit out, yo man, these guys, ये तो सारे missionary है, ये तो ऐदा करते हैं. Oh, these guys are all nihangs, वो ऐदा करते हैं. These guys, I'm talking about the religious world, right? This is what we do in the religious world. We see something, ये तो Gandhi है. These guys don't know what they're doing, right? And if you were to cross that fence and sit on their territory, if you were one of them, you would think that you're doing everything out of the love of the Guru. You get what I'm saying? If you're on their side, you would think you're doing everything for the right reason. But because we're on a different side, we see them as you and me, we see them as different, we say, you guys are doing everything wrong. And in that moment, I'm spreading what? Bura. Parka bura. I'm sending these bad thoughts over. Now let's talk about the normal world, right? A girl is on the Instagram, she's wearing the really nice suit. You feel jealous. Yeah? You can't take it. You're like, man, this girl, man, she's horrible. She does this and that. She does all the, you send all these bad thoughts out into the world without even knowing sometimes, unconsciously, right? Maharaj says, Nar, achet paap te dar re. Achet paap. Okay. Paap, we understand to mean bad things, right? Doing bad things, right? That's what paap means. Some people call it sin or whatever. But let's just say doing bad actions, right? Maharaj says achet. Achet pap. Be afraid of achet pap. What does achet mean? Okay, let's look at the word chet here. Tika. The word chet means to remember, right? Your mom might tell you, ਪੁੱਤ ਚੇਤੇ ਕਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਉੱਧਰ ਗਏ ਸੀ. ਚੇਤੇ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਮਾਸੀ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਗਏ ਸੀ ਆਪਾਂ. ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਮਾਸੀ. You understand? To remember, right? The ada here can be used to emphasize the word after or to completely neglect or reject the word after, okay? To contradict the word after. Okay, we're going to look at the ada as a contradiction in this case scenario. To contradict. To contradict the word chet means to forget. Okay, to forget. Achet pap. Pap, bad things that we do without any attention, without any remembrance. We're just doing it unknowingly, subconsciously. Yeah? You're on your social media feed, subconsciously you're throwing out these bad thoughts. You're not necessarily a bad person. You don't want to be bad to someone. It's just happening. We're not mindful of what's happening. That's another word to remember. Mindful. Yeah? Mindful. Are we mindful of where we're going in life? Are we mindful of our daily actions, of how our thoughts work, how our mind is working? Before that thought is manifested into an action, it lives in here. And when it lives in here, it's truly living in here. If we're not standing there like a soldier, like a guard, protecting our heart, protecting our mental well-being, it will go deeper and deeper. Before we know it, we'll become something we don't want to be. Yeah? We'll become something we don't want to be. These things that I'm kind of sharing with you are things that can apply in every relationship. They can apply in a wife and a husband. They can apply in friendship. They can apply as a student and teacher. They can apply everywhere in life. Yeah? And all these things is what I feel like Gurbani talks about on a daily basis. You know, when we do Rarasta part, when we do Japji Sahib, whatever we're doing, Maharaj is continually talking about how our mind works, how our inner soul works, and how we navigate through our life. Yeah? Okay. So in conclusion, I think we're reaching our time limit. I want to give some time to Q&A as well, right? I believe we have this room until 6 p.m. Yeah. So I want to give some time to Q&A as well. In conclusion, I would like to end off with that Shabad that we started off with, Jot Tad Bhav hai Sai Palika. And this is an exercise that you can practice in your life. You know, again, in your practice mode, in your homework mode. Remember, there's going to be a homework stage, and there will be a final test stage. There will be a midterm stage. In your midterm stage, you might not be able to have the opportunity to practice, but we could practice in our homework time. Yeah. If everything in life is smooth sailing right now, or even if it's not smooth sailing, you just got over something that just happened. You're still in the homework stage. You can do it. Yeah? Do it before your test comes along. Yeah? You can sit down in your room and just read the Shabad. Yeah? You can close your eyes, you can take deep breaths, focus yourself down, concentrate yourself, ground yourself, right? Find yourself in a space that supports your inner environment. You know? For myself, if I'm going to need myself to be grounded, I go into nature, take a walk. You know? The simplest thing. You need to understand your inner self. You need to understand what complements your inner self. You need to understand what those environments are that gives you happiness, what those environments are that gives you more stress, that scatters you. You know, once you figure out those places that are there that support a healthy environment, going to those places and practicing this Shabad, Jo Tad Bhav Sai Palikar Maharaj, whatever has happened up until now and is happening right now and will continue to happen in the future, Maharaji, ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਭਾਣੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ, it's in your pana, it's in your will, it's in your hukam, and whatever is in your hukam, Maharaji, it is the pala for me. It is the pala for my soul. It is the pala for my destiny. It is the pala for my existence. And then, if you are holding on to trauma, if you're holding on to baggage, that same word apala, you can apply it there as well. Look at your trauma, your baggage in its face, and then you say, Tera pala ho jaye. It's someone in front of you that you don't necessarily connect with, someone who has done you wrong in life. Bring their picture into your face. Challenge that picture. Don't leave it inside the table. Take it out. Bring it out. Look at that picture right in front of your eyes and you say tera pala ho jaye, tera pala ho jaye. Why? Because you're doing yourself you're doing yourself justice. You're doing yourself a service. That person could be wherever in their life. It doesn't matter to them anymore what happened. But for you, it's a thing that you're living every single day in your life. Yeah? So I hope these things really help. And I really appreciate that you guys called me out today. I'm originally from New York, and growing up there, going to college there, university there, we didn't have much Sikhs in our SSA. We had 5 in total, including me. So it's a nice sight to, in the States to see a university with a population like yourself, And if there's anything that you can take away from this talk, may be that for us to carry love and synergy amongst our brothers and sisters, Every single person you see here in this room, you don't know in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where you guys will be in life, This moment you guys are together, I would say, spread that love as much as you can, recognize each other as a family. Yeah? We're all family of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. We're all their kids. Yeah? It doesn't matter where we are in life. We're all walking on their path. And that's something that really resonated for me, is the word Sikhi, or the word Sikh. Yeah? So a lot of times we translate the word Sikh as a student from the Sanskrit tradition. But if you were to translate the word Sikh in the Pali tradition, which is another type of language, it's an older language, it means the one who has started, the one who is walking. The one who is on the path, they are walking to learn. Yeah? We're all walking. We're all on our different levels. But the thing that connects us all is that we're all walking. We're all learning. Yeah? Me included, we're all on this path together. So as a family, we can support each other. Aao fateh bulaiye, and then we'll take some questions. WhyGuru Ji ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji ki fateh.
WhyGuru, WhyGuru.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. WhyGuru Ji ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji ki fateh.
WhyGuru.